Today we're going to be taking a look at 75409 and Jango Fett's Slave 1. Yeah, the Slave 1. This set just released on May 1st with 2,970 pieces and a retail price of $300 and it was designed by Jackson Hughes, the same person responsible for sets like the Emperor's Throne Room diorama, the 332nd Ahsoka Clone Trooper Battle Pack, and the New Republic E-Wing vs Shin Hati Starfighter. And after 22 years, we finally have a new Jango Fett Slave 1, and it's a UCS model. I was not expecting them to do that at all. But hey, I'm all here for it. It looks awesome, especially on the box art. Now recently, I actually haven't really been liking the black box arts on these 18+ sets. I liked them in the beginning with some of those sets, but at this point, I think it's about time LEGO switches it up. However, I do have to say, this Slave 1 box art looks really great. The black and the blue go very, very nicely together. Anyways though, on the back of the box, there's quite a bit going on, with another big render of the set showcasing it displayed on its stand, along with Jango and Boba at the bottom, as well as the seismic charge that's included. And then you're going to have the dimensions off to the left that you can pause and read if you want to. And then at the bottom, you're going to have a series of pictures that are more angles of this build, as well as pictures of the actual Slave 1 in episode 2. And then opening up this massive box and digging in, on the inside you're going to find 23 separate numbered bags, along with an unnumbered bag that contains some larger pieces, the windshield piece in this brown paper bag, and then your 2 instruction manuals that come in their own brown paper bag. And I'm not going to lie, I've never seen instructions come in a bag like this before, but I have to say I'm not the biggest fan of it, mainly because it just doesn't protect them as good as those other cardboard cases. Anyways though, since this is a UCS set, of course inside the first instruction manual you're going to find lots of information about the set, the designers of the set, and the ship in Star Wars that you can pause and read if you want to as I turn through each page. Taking a look at the 2 figures included in this set, just being Jango Fett and Boba Fett, there's quite a bit of controversy surrounding these 2 figures, but I mean, that's kind of expected at this point with every new LEGO Star Wars minifigure. And I guess first we'll start off with the one that is getting the most criticism, and that is young Boba Fett. And overall, I think this figure does look good. I mean, it's not like it's not aesthetically pleasing or just aesthetically ugly in any way. Like, the figure itself looks fine. However, there are 2 main things people are complaining about with this figure that I think are both valid criticism. The first one is the hairpiece. They used that hairpiece from one of the Ninjago minifigures. I think it was a Ninjago hairpiece at least, but regardless, on young Boba Fett, it doesn't look that good. I mean, it just doesn't match his hairstyle at all. There's no reason why they couldn't have just gone ahead and reused the one from the 2017 Boba Fett. And then the second thing is that obviously his arms are the wrong color. They should be dark blue when they're sand blue, as you can see here. And this is again something that the 2017 Boba Fett got right, but this one didn't. And again, the figure looks fine. I mean, the arms don't look bad. They look good and they go with the torso. However, the reason people complain about it is that it's simply just not accurate. And you know, if LEGO got it right in 2017, why can't they get it right again in 2025? It's just kind of frustrating, especially considering the fact that you are paying $300 for this set. That's not cheap. But on the other hand, Jango Fett actually looks pretty much perfect in my opinion. I think it's safe to say this is the best Jango Fett LEGO has ever made. There's absolutely beautiful printing all around on the chest and the torso and the arms. This is the first arm printed Jango Fett we've ever gotten. And he's also got that new rangefinder piece up there that looks amazing. Now, one thing people are complaining about with this figure is that his jetpack is gunmetal gray and not silver, because silver is the color that LEGO previously used on all these Jango Fett jetpacks. And while silver does look good and it does match the rest of his printing, the gunmetal gray isn't inaccurate. I mean, if you look in episode 2, his jetpack is a dark gray color, so I think the color they used here works completely fine. But anyways though, underneath his jetpack, you're going to find even more printing, and when you take his helmet off, he comes with a hairpiece that you can put on in replace of it. And as you can see, he's got a great face print with another double-sided face print. I mean, overall, one figure is really good, being Jango Fett, and the other one should be better, being Boba Fett. So it's kind of like a 50-50 split. Yes, it's disappointing that Boba Fett is not as good as he should be, but hey, at the very least, I'm happy Jango Fett looks as good as he does. Anyways though, now moving on to the actual model itself, unsurprisingly, it looks really, really good. Nowadays, LEGO has set the standard for UCS sets pretty high, and I think this set meets it. Overall, it's a very, very gorgeous and detailed build, and we'll dive into all of that, but first, I want to take a look at the display plaque and the stand. The display plaque is of course printed, as you can see here, and it looks good for the most part, besides maybe that mold dimple right in the middle. And if you want to, you can pause and read this. There's a lot of information on here. However, one thing that is kind of annoying is that it does slightly get covered up by the bottom of the ship. I wouldn't say it's that big of a deal, but at some angles it does get covered up quite a bit, and it is kind of hard to read unless you take it off. And as for the rest of the stand goes, I mean, it's a pretty basic Technic structure. It's definitely not the prettiest looking UCS UCS stand, but I mean, it kind of has to be designed like this to hold the ship up. And speaking of holding up the ship, it's super easy to take on and off the stand. There's just these two hooks that stick out the back that it rests on pretty easily. Now, as for the interior, or I guess the cockpit goes, you can very easily pop the windshield piece off to reveal a pretty nice looking interior. And as for the windshield piece itself goes, as you can see, it is a pretty large piece and it looks good for the most part. However, there are these two white stickers at the bottom, and on the actual transparent piece itself, they look good and add some detail. But unfortunately, as you can tell, they have the same problem as every sticker nowadays, where their color is slightly off from the color of the bricks. And as you can see here, their white is not matching the white of the actual pieces. And even if these weren't stickers and they were printed, it would still have the same problem as we saw on the U-Wing. And at this point, I wish LEGO would just fix this already, either fix the stickers or put 2 layers of printing just to fix this issue. Now inside the cockpit, there actually is this section that is removable that you can just very easily slide out. And this is the area with really the main driver's seat along with all the controls. You can see it's actually fairly detailed with lots of sticker control panels, along with this big red targeting sensor here on the front. And then of course you can grab Jango Fett with his jetpack removed and sit him in the front cockpit seat, and take Boba Fett and put him in one of the back seats. And then again, you can just very easily slide this thing back into the cockpit, and it's honestly pretty satisfying. Now you also might have noticed there are 2 more seats right under this removable section, and obviously there's not 2 other figures included in this set to be able to put in these seats, so I guess if you have any extra ones lying around, you can throw them in there if you want to. And then lastly, for this interior space, there is this little sticker up here at the top that has some Star Wars writing on it that I believe translates to 00V04. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments, but either way, it's there. But when you put the cockpit windshield piece back on, it gets covered up. Now the area around the cockpit on the outside looks amazing. There's loads and loads of detail and great shaping on either side. In my opinion, this area is overall a big improvement from the 2015 Slave one. As good as that set is, this one does just look a tad bit better when it comes to shaping and detail. And also, just who doesn't love the color scheme of Jango Fett Slave 1? I mean, that sand green with the dark blue looks really good together. However, there is one slight issue I have with this area, and that's that there are these gaps on either side. Well, actually, I don't even want to call them gaps. They kind of just look like holes right there. And honestly, when I was building this set and I first noticed these, I thought I'd done something wrong, but no, this is actually how it's supposed to look. And it's definitely not the end of the world, but if you look closely, these holes or gaps, whatever you want to call them, are pretty noticeable. The wings, however, look pretty good. They're very detailed and they can move up and down, as you can see here. They move in unison and it's really awesome. You can kind of put them all the way back or put them all the way down, or kind of put them at an angle in between. It looks good either way. And then the area where the wings connect to the actual ship is very heavily detailed, as you can see here. There is a ton of greebling going on, and I'm not gonna lie, the build process for this area was very tedious and borderline frustrating, but the end result is really good looking, as you can see. And then moving down to the bottom half of this back area, just like the top, there's also amazing shaping and some amazing detail down here. I mean, they really did blow it out of the water with the shaping alone on this whole back shell area. However, there is one obvious issue down here, and that is these large stickers. I think the green and blue ones are actually fine. The real problem is those yellow ones. And as you can see, the yellow on these stickers is brutally off color from the yellow of the pieces. And it's very noticeable. Even from far away, it sticks out like a sore thumb. The off shading is just brutal. Again, the bigger ones that are green and blue look fine. However, these yellow ones for sure should have been printed. On the bright side though, the bottom area of the front half of the ship looks great. On either side here, you're going to have a small sticker that translates to no step, along with this black piece that's supposed to be a little cannon. And then on the front, you're going to have a few stickers with lots and lots of green tiles going all the way down to the bottom, where you're going to find the 2 main front cannons, along with even more great looking detail on either side. And as for the cannons go, they are connected so they can spin around in unison, and they have a fairly large range of motion. And also the top barrels of these cannons can kind of move up and down independently. I'm not sure if they do that in universe, but on this set, this is a feature if you want to do that. Spinning around the model to the back, as you can see, there's quite a bit going on back here. Lots of very extensive detail from the top to the bottom, and of course the engines look absolutely amazing. However, the main thing to see back here is of course the seismic charge. That's tucked away in its own little compartment here, and the seismic charge itself actually looks really cool. Now it is completely all stickers. I did not know this until I built this set. I was expecting these to be printed pieces, but no, everything you see here is stickers on the seismic charge, which I think is just a bit unnecessary. For $300, can we at least have some printed parts in this set? Regardless though, it looks good if you put the stickers on right, and then of course you can put it back in its little compartment. Now taking the set off the stand and laying it down on its back, which is technically its landing position, it actually does look really cool like this. This is definitely a way you could display it. However, the main thing to see when you have it landed like this is this awesome play feature down here at the bottom, where you can actually push down and open this gray ramp right here, and it basically reveals a door into the interior. Now obviously when you look down in there, there's nothing to see, but it's really cool that they included this feature. And of course you can have have Jango propped up on the ramp like this, and it looks awesome. And then when you want to close it, there's this lever at the top that you just push down and the ramp folds back up. And I'm not gonna lie, this is super satisfying and fun to do. Now, giving an overall conclusion and rating to this set is actually kind of challenging. Yes, the model itself looks beautiful. I mean, that's to nobody's surprise. Every UCS set generally looks pretty good. However, I personally hold these UCS sets to higher standards, so little things like the minifigure inaccuracies as well as the stickers just matter more. And I really do think there are way too many stickers on this set. There isn't one printed piece besides the display plaque and the minifigures, obviously. And for $300, that's just pretty ridiculous in my opinion. And also, again, like I mentioned earlier, some of those stickers, specifically the yellow ones at the bottom, are very off-colored. And then of course you have the inaccuracies with Boba Fett, so it's just little things like that that matter more in these UCS sets, to me at least, because you're paying a lot more for them. I mean, this is $300, that's very expensive, and little things like that just need to be improved upon. However, overall the build does look really good, and that's why I said it's kind of hard to rate this set, but I think I'm gonna land on a good rating of 8.8 out of 10. If the little things like the stickers and Boba Fett were fixed, this could very easily be a 10 out of 10 set, but they're not fixed and they are kind of a blatant issue for a UCS set like this, so I'm landing on an 8.8. Let me know what you guys think about this set down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more videos, be shown on the screen right now.